You want to see something really scary?
You bet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, this is really, really scary now.
I trust you.
Hello, internet fans. It's your old pal Rottin Roger DeMarco here from RepulsiveReviews.com. This video, we're going to be talking about Richard Wink's 1986 film, Vamp. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that fucking bell thing, or whatever the hell that thing is, this fucking speed bag. Hit that so you know when I got shit coming up, because I do 3 videos a week. I do gameplay footage, I do video reviews, and most recently, we've added the Buddies Forever VCast with me and Evil Dead Inks, and occasionally bringing in What's Up Pam. But anyway, enough of that shit. Let's get on with Vamp. Okay, here is the plot rundown. AJ and Keith are trying to join a fraternity, and instead of doing the standard pledge bullshit, AJ, who's played by the fan-fucking-tastic Robert Russler, who's sort of like a slick, smooth-talking, way too cool for these douchey fraternity bros. He sort of talks himself into doing a favor for this fraternity. He says, hey, I know you guys are having a party, what if I could supply the entertainment? So they set him with the task of getting a stripper for this party. So AJ and Keith enlist this total doof rich kid named Duncan because he has access to cars, he's loaded with money, and they need to take a trip into the city so they can get a classy lady to show her tits to all the college boys. It turns out that the After Dark strip club that they go to is not exactly what it appears to be. It's full of vampires. Vampire time. It's not an overly complex film, but this is the most fun I've ever had watching a vampire movie. A lot of things happen in this movie that are cliche by today's standards, but this movie blew me away with the writing. I really, really like the dialogue between AJ and Keith. There's some really true-to-life buddy talk that it seems very genuine, and I feel like Robert Russler steals the show. He outshines everybody. He's really given liberty to just be this character. He's so witty and fun. This is just his movie. Like I said, I really enjoy this movie. I think this is a super fun, it's a campy vamp flick. Before I get in with all of my overall thoughts, first, let's take a look at Rottin Roger's Splatter Facts. We have 6 dead bodies. We have 6 titties. The titty-to-death ratio is perfect. We have cockroach eating, we have strip whipping, and we have rat biting. On to my overall thoughts of this film. There are some weird-ass strip dances in this movie. Now, a lot of the reviews of this movie say that, like, Grace Jones, her stripper dance is like the highlight of the movie and that it's, like, provocative and sexy. Hey, man. This is 1986, so I don't know what kind of drugs those reviewers were doing, but it was anything but sexy for me. I mean, she's got like neon red hair, like weird white tribal paint, and then like fucking springs on her tits. Like pointy ass Madonna springs on her tits and her hoo-ha. It's very weird. You know, it's a sensual. I'm supposed to be, ooh, I'm supposed to be, yeah, but I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is pre-From Dusk Till Dawn, pre-Bordello of Blood. This is a trendsetter with the vampire establishment being a whorehouse or a strip club or some sort of establishment that less than reputable folks would inhabit. So this movie really toys with that. Like, well, who gives a shit about the food, essentially, for these vampires? Like, nobody cares about these fucking gackheads and these, you know, transients and people just passing through. Just the dregs of society come into those joints. So the vampires feed on them. Now, a lot of critics hated on this movie. They said it didn't master that blend of horror and comedy, and that this movie couldn't decide which genre it should be in. Listen, folks, I gotta disagree. Now that we're in the age that we're in, horror comedy's more accepted, and this movie does a great job of the creature designs being terrifying, the dances being terrifying, the comedy being right on. This is almost expert level horror comedy. The pacing is fantastic. It moves along. Sometimes the things that you don't expect actually happen, and that's fantastic. Spoiler alert. I really enjoy once Robert Russler becomes a vampire, the character arc that he has in trying to still maintain his human relationships and how he wants to be a good friend, but he's also starving and he's a vampire and he wants to fucking devour you. I also think it's kind of sweet how it's sort of this small corner of the city is sort of overrun by all these vampires. Like, the bus driver's a vampire, or, there's just vampires strewn about, like vampire homeless guys living in the sewer, and just a really neat, they started here and they're slowly taking over the city, kind of catching that in its infancy, catching that before the vampires have expanded fully throughout the city. I really like that about this movie. I don't understand the doofy-ass headgear that fucking Grace Jones wears. I missed out on some shit, okay? I grew up on a lot of these movies, but I don't remember motherfuckers walking around with springs on their fucking head like that was rad. That most definitely seems not rad to me. You took, the back off an oscillating fan and put it on your head, and you look like a goddamn idiot, but I'll forgive you because you're a sweet-looking vampire. What the fuck are you doing? Some other things about this movie that really stuck out to me this time watching, when the final battle goes down and Keith is trying to leave and kill all the vampires, and the vampires' lair is in the sewer, they dump a bunch of 50-gallon barrels and light it on fire to kill these vampires. Why would the vampires have 50-gallon drums of gas next to where they sleep? Seems sort of ridiculous. Seems like shitty planning on the vampire's part. You have means to destroy you next to where you sleep. That's dumb as fuck. You might as well have a big box of wooden stakes and crosses and a fucking holy water bucket. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It's so 80s. This movie is so 80s with the color scheme is so neon and bright and fucking it pops, man. I really want to get this on Blu-ray. Arrow, I like ya. I don't like your cover art. Shout Factory, give me some sweet cover art. As silly as that sounds, when I was a kid and I bought a movie or rented a movie, the cover art had to suck me in. Now, I already like this movie. I like the OG cover art. But I gotta have, if I'm double dipping, Shout Factory has to give me some of that sweet art. Make those color schemes pop for me in Blu-ray. There is a lot of decent effects in this movie. Really memorable vampire designs that actually rival the stuff that we're used to. The stuff like Fright Night. This is as good. It's not better than Fright Night, but this is a fucking awesome movie that I never hear anybody talk about, and that's a problem, okay? Because in my opinion, I think this is, again, this is an important movie. This is a movie that horror fans need to see, and I am telling you to find a copy and watch it, because it is fucking glorious. I don't have anything really negative to say about the movie. Just the only things that stuck out to me were the springs and the headgear. Really silly wardrobe choices. So that doesn't take away from the film. That just makes you, when it happens, you're gonna chuckle. And that's really the only grievance that I have with this film. So that doesn't even count at all. In my personal opinion, I'm gonna have to give this movie 3 out of 5 blood drops. Because it's fantastic. It's nowhere near perfect, but it is fantastic. Being that it is a horror comedy, so it is a popcorn movie, which is what I gravitate towards. If I did have to choose, if I had, 2 vampire flicks in my hand that I had to choose from, and one was Vamp and the other was Fright Night, I'm gonna watch Fright Night. That doesn't mean that this is a bad movie. At all. This is a fucking rockin', fun, 80s, neon bloodfest with fucking tits and sweet vampires. So, I'm not knocking it. It's awesome. But it gets 3 out of 5 blood drops from me. Well, guess I should get going, because after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them. So why not me? Right?